the test case writing.
We need to have the purpose in our minds. Then he will go again to the test case and see what is the expected result. And then the category you can decide. Okay, when you come inside your test plan,
Hello fellow testers, welcome back to Kiwi Bro. So in our journey to become a full stack quality engineer, we are in another milestone today. Today we are going to look at how to write test cases. So if you followed our last couple of videos, now you know we have done test case designing, test scenario designing using mind map and the API test matrices. So now the next step in our journey is to write these test cases, or the next step in our journey to learn how to write these test cases, so to do the documentation part, because this documenting is very important, because testing is not a one-time activity. We have to repeat the testing in multiple cycles. So in that case, if we haven't documented these things, we will miss the test cases or the scenarios in the next cycle. So in that case, not to miss this, or to every time to repeat all the test cases we have, we need to document. So nowadays we have different tools available for the test case documentation or test case management. So if you don't have the luxury to use these tools, at least you need to document these things in some documentation mechanism, like either Excel sheet or somewhere. But nowadays, as I mentioned, there are a lot of tools, and from those we can find some free tools as well. So today also I will show you one such tool where you can use for your test case management. So however, as I mentioned, the test case writing. So once we done with the test design techniques, and once we have these test scenarios in our hand, next step is to start writing the test cases. When writing the test cases, we will follow a template. So I will provide a template today, so you can follow that template and write those test cases, because everyone in your team need to understand these test cases correctly. Otherwise, they will be struggling executing those things, because every time when we have a new release or something, so every time when we have a new release, if we do manual testing or automation testing, then we need to follow these written test cases, the steps, then the expected outcome, those things we need to verify. So in that case, test case writing is also a very important thing, but unfortunately most of us don't take that into consideration, and we don't put much weight into the test case writing. So unfortunately, in most of the organization, we can see the test case writing will get the shortest time maybe, or some people will skip that. Most of the places we see incompleted test cases. So in that case, these things will lead to most of the errors later. So now let's see how we can write test cases, the best practices, and some tools we have.
okay, so as I mention all the time, before we do something, we need to know why we do that thing. We need to have the purpose in our mind. So then it will be very easy for us to get the best results with the purpose in our mind. So now, before start writing test cases, let's see why test cases are important, as I mentioned previously. So now everyone knows why we write the test cases, because next time when we execute these test cases, so when we do the actual testing, we will follow the steps written in the test case, and then we will validate the results against the expected outcome or the expected results which are written in the test case. So in that case, we need to validate the features. We will validate the features against the test cases, not against the SRS or anything, because we have derived these test cases following all these requirement documents and other design documents and everything. So while doing the testing, we will not follow those design documents. What we follow is the test cases. I hope you understand what the concept here, because we use those documents to derive the test cases. So while doing the testing, if we again follow all these requirement documents and everything, it will take our time, because for one feature, maybe everything will not be in the same place. Maybe we have to go through couple of documents, couple of design documents, the SRS document, or some stories likewise. So we have combined all this knowledge and derive our test cases, and we have all these steps and the expected outcome and everything in one place as a test case. So when we do the testing, actual testing, or when we do the executions, we just need to follow the test cases. So it will ease our work. and it will save our time, and it will help us to validate the feature correctly. So that is one importance of the test cases. I hope it's clear. Next, as I again mentioned, so the same thing. So as we follow the test case, it will have clear steps, and against the step we will have the expected outcome. So let's say it's a login test case. So it will say, maybe in the preconditions, don't worry, I will walk you through the template. So at that place I will talk about these components of a test case. So for our example, let's say the login scenario, maybe in the preconditions we will say we need to go to the particular URL and we should be on the home page or the landing page where we have the login screen. Then under the steps we will have the first step, we need to enter the username and the password, and then we need to click the login button. Then we have the expected result saying the user should be redirected to the home page likewise. So we have the actions and then we have the results. So even a new tester who joins recently can simply follow the given steps if the steps are clear. If we have everything in place and if the test case is written in a clear manner, then even a new tester would be able to follow these steps and get the result. And then he can easily verify what he got versus what was expected, whether it's similar or not. Okay, in our example, let's say after putting this username and password and click the login button, the user got an error message saying invalid credentials or something. So in our same example, let's say when the tester entered the username and password and clicked the login button, he was not redirected to the home page. Instead, he was stayed at the same login page. Okay, now he have his result, the actual results. Then he will go again to the test case and see what is the expected result. Okay, the expected result says user should be redirected to the home page, and on the home page his name should be visible, something like that. But now he will check, okay, the expected outcome versus actual result, it's different. Now he knows we have some issues in the feature is broken. So he will report it as a bug. So it helped to validate the feature. Also, the test case guided him through his test execution. It gave the clear steps and then it asked to validate the result. So it's working as a guide for even a new tester. So simply he can follow the given steps and get the results. So it's working as a guide as well. And also the purpose of writing test cases I mentioned is for documenting, because next time when we do the same cycle, otherwise we will miss. So that is another importance of test case, the documentation. And the documentation here will not only valuable for the testers and also the other stakeholders of the application as well, or the system as well. How will it be valuable? So let's say for the developers. So the developers also can go through the test cases maybe, and probably when we do the brainstorming, then we discussed about these things. When we do the mind mapping and the API test metrics, we do the brainstorming. So there we discussed these test cases, so the test scenarios with the developers. So developers also can get an idea about the corner cases and edge cases maybe through these test cases, and they also can cover those while they do the development. And also for the project managers also, they have the clear stats, how many test cases are there. So from that they can derive maybe the time, so they can do the rough estimations. And also if you can remember when I talk about the test plan, there I mentioned about the exit criteria. So now we can clearly mention 90% of test coverage should have been completed, or the test execution should be 90% before we go to the next stage. So now since we have the clear stats or the documentation about the number of test cases, now we can easily derive the stats, the percentage, the coverage, those information are there. So that is another importance of documenting your test cases. Then we can use these test cases as blueprints as well. So how you can use these test cases as a blueprint? So we can use the template to write the test cases, and maybe these test cases you can reuse later. Let's say we are working on a product and we are giving this to multiple customers, but with some configurations or customizable options. So based on the customer, we do some customizations to our product and we release it. So in this case, we may have to write new test cases for our new client, but in this case we can derive or we can use previous test cases as blueprints here. We can reuse those things, and then we might have to do only few modifications, and maybe we need to add few more, or we need to drop few based on the available features. So that's how we can use the test cases or the existing test cases as a blueprint. And also for another project, let's say we have a third part integration or a SMS gateway. So this is a completely new project, but that project also we are using the same third part integration for the SMS gateway. So then now we can use that particular component and the test cases related to that component and reuse those things. So now again it will work as a blueprint, the previous test cases. So that is how you can use test cases as a blueprint, or how to reuse the test case. I hope now it will give you more idea like why these test cases are very important and why I need to document those things. And then the last one I have here in the points is the onboarding. So as I mentioned, even let's say we got a new test engineer to our team, and then you share all this documentation like the SRS documents, the test cases and everything. So he will follow those things. But like if we follow the SRS documents and design documents at the very beginning, so it will be very hard for him to understand our system, because since he haven't seen anything, and the user flows he don't know, and then if we deep dive into this technical stuff, it will be a bit hard. But instead of that, if we gave him some selected test cases, and if we ask him to follow those steps and try out different user flows, then it will be very easy for him, because in the test case we have the URL, so he need to go to the URL. Then we have the clear steps what to do. Okay, then he will just follow those steps, and at the end he just need to verify the results. So it will be very easy even for a new test. But in that case, keep in mind the test case should be very clear, and all the steps and everything need to be clearly mentioned. So we can use these properly documented test cases for our onboarding purposes as well. So after going through a couple of test cases or couple of components like this, now the new engineer will also have some idea about our system. Now he can follow the other documentation like the SRS documents or the test design documents and the other design documents to get more deep knowledge about our product or the project. So as the starting point, you can give these test cases for him to follow and to get the idea about the system. So I hope now it's very clear like why we need to write test cases or to document these test cases very clearly, and why we need to invest some time on writing the test cases. Now since you have this purpose in mind, next time when you go and start writing a test case, now you know, okay, I need to make sure that I write a proper test case with clear steps and everything, because even for onboarding, one day my test cases will be used. So when you have this purpose in your mind, now you have the objective, no? So now you can get better results. And also you now one day if one of your project managers unfortunately asks you to skip the test case writing or something like that, now you know why we can't skip those things, because now you know why this is very important. So now you can give these points, or now you can share these points with your project manager, again, then he will also understand, and I hope he will also not ask you to skip anymore. So now let's go to the next slide. So now here I have some best practices selected for test case writing. So if you want to get the best test cases or the documentation part, you need to follow these best practices to get the clear and the meaningful test cases. So the first one is simple. As I previously also mentioned, like in a couple of videos, when we do something or when we create the mind maps, we need to make it very simple and clear. So even a newcomer can check it and get the clear idea. So we need to keep it very simple, not put all the things or not make it complicated. Don't make it complicated. So even for the test case writing, don't make things complicated. Keep it simple. So here by simple, I didn't mean like reduce the number of steps or not like that. So even for a newcomer, he should be able to read the test case and identify the scenario correctly, and should be able to execute it properly. So what you write need to be in very simple steps, not very complicated things. I hope it's clear. So that is the first best practice you need to follow when you write test cases. Keep it simple. And also you need to think about the clarity of the test case. So the same thing, when you read the test case, even a newcomer should be able to understand it properly. So what is the action? So it says go to the login page, enter the username and password, then click the login button. So any person can quickly or easily understand it. It's very clear. The clarity is there. Otherwise, if we say, let's say, go and log in, but then the particular tester doesn't know to which page we need to go. If a newcomer or someone, and also let's say we have multiple components with different logins. So now it's not clear which login we are talking about. But if we clearly mention login to the admin board and then we give the URL as well maybe. So then it is very clear. Now you know, the tester knows, okay, now we need to log into the admin board, not to the user or the client board. We need to go to the admin part. Likewise. So it is very clear. The steps are clear. The clarity is there. Then the reusability. In the last slide also I mentioned that we can reuse these test cases, and also we can use the test cases as a blueprint. So in that case, when you write these test cases, you need to think about the reusability as well. So maybe for another client or maybe for another project, anytime we should be able to reuse these test cases. And then the maintainability. Here under the maintainability, I mean, like, you know, with these agile processes and the change in world, all these requirements and everything are tend to change. So one day, if these requirements are changed or the feature is getting updated, so we should be able to quickly go and update the test case easily. That is why we need to think about the maintainability as well. Okay, for example, in that login scenario, the first feature, the early stages, let's say after the login, we will be go to the home page, and on the home page we have only the username. Maybe later we introduce a new feature. Now with the name, we have the user photo as well. So now instead of creating a new test case to validate this, we can go and update the same test case, the login test case. Previously the expectation was to go and check the username. Now we can update that simple step to check the user photo as well. So instead of recreating a new test case, so in that case if we create a test case again just to validate the photo, we have to go through all the previous steps. So it will take more time. So instead of creating a new test case, it will be very easy, or will save our time if we update the same existing test case, because the steps are same. The only difference will be at the end, at the validation part. So we can update the same test case. So that is why. So that is a very simple example. Similarly, there could be another cases as well where you need to update the test cases. So in that case, you need to think about the maintainability as well. The next one is the avoid repetition. So I hope it's very clear. If you have the duplicate test cases, it will just waste your time. So in that case, when you write your test cases, you need to make sure that it hasn't already there. So for example, let's say you are assigned new to this project and you get the same component which previously another engineer was working on. So now before you start writing the test case, you need to go through the existing test cases and get the idea like what are the things which were covered previously and which were not. And if it is already covered, then no point of recreating the same test case, because when you go and execute the test cases, you will execute the same test case twice and it will just waste your time. So if you duplicate the test case and then retest it twice on the same cycle, then maybe at the end you will miss to validate some other important test case due to the time, and since you waste your time at repeating your tasks at the same test cases. So in that case, you need to clearly keep in mind that avoid repetitions. And the consistency. Here consistency means like you need to follow the same template all over, write in your test case, and keep the same manner when you write the test cases. So then it will be easy to follow all these test cases because it will be on the same pattern. So even for a newcomer or another engineer, so you We can't make sure like since I write the test cases every time I will execute. No, because one day I might leave the organization, or also I will be assigned to another project and a newcomer will join. So then he should be also able to follow these test cases. So that's why we need to keep in mind about the simplicity, clarity, and everything, and also the consistency. So if we have followed the same pattern, so even a newcomer, it will be very easy to get the things going, because now when he follow a couple of test cases, okay, now he understand the pattern, how this is written, the steps, the actions, the results, everything. So he will understand the pattern and then he will follow that. So in that case, we need to follow a consistent pattern or a template. Don't worry, I will provide a proper template to you, and then maybe you can follow that when you write your test cases. And also, when writing the test cases, we need to focus on the end user, the user personas. We need to be in our client's shoes when writing the test cases. Not as an engineer using the technical things. We need to write this as an end user, thinking as an end user. Because like when we test these things, since we do black box testing, please check the testing types video if you haven't checked. I have explained what black box testing is. So we need to be in client shoes and write the test case. So as the client will, like, what are the steps he will perform, what are the actions he will do. So he will go to the login page and then enter the username, password, and then click login button likewise. So we need to focus on the end user, and based on these user personas, we need to write our test cases as use cases, so use case scenarios likewise. And then also when you write the test cases, follow this format, the given, when, then framework. GWT, given, when, then. So the test case we can break into three important parts. Given means the preconditions. So what need to be there before you start executing the test cases. Then when means the user actions, what you will do or what you will follow, the steps what you follow. And then the last part, once you do those actions, what will be the result? So that is in the then part. So we have three important parts in your test case: given, when, and then. All the preconditions will be under the given, all the use actions or the user flows will be under when, and the expected result will be in the then section. So likewise, if you follow this particular given, when, then structure, you can come up with a good test case. And then also you need to think about the prioritizations and the categorizations as well. So I will first talk about the prioritizations. So let's say if you have prioritized the test cases like high, normal, low, likewise, then when you don't have enough time to test all your test cases, now maybe you can filter through these prioritizations. Maybe you can start with all the high test cases, and if you have completed those and if you still have time, then you can go to the normal test cases. And maybe if you don't have time, you can quickly check couple of low test cases. Likewise, you can decide. But again, keep in mind about the exit criteria which we discussed in the test plan. So you need to think about that as well. However, like if we have these prioritizations, and also for like smoke test cases, you can select the prioritization high test cases likewise. So that's why the prioritization is important. Next, we have the categorization. So you can categorize these test cases depend on few things. Like one is the component, or else the automation capability or something likewise. However, based on different things, you can do multiple categorizations, because this categorization is also important. Let's say we have new change related to the SMS functionality. So then if you have properly categorized your test cases, now you can filter for the test cases which are related to the SMS feature, and you can start your testing with that, because that is the impacted area due to our new change. So now, since let's say if you didn't filter and start like that, then maybe you need to execute all the test cases in your test suite to cover the SMS feature to identify issues. Maybe it will take more time. But if you filter this and start with your SMS related test cases, then you can quickly identify the new issues related to the new change. Then you can report those things, and then after the fix, and you can do the retest, and then you can execute the other test cases as the regression. So I hope it's clear. And also, if you categorize based on automation capability, automatable or not, then if you do the automation later, now you can filter it. And then automated or not. Likewise, there are different categorizations you can do. So based on your project and these things, you can decide, and you can decide what categorizations you need to do for your test cases. And then independent. This is one very important thing. When you write a test case should be independent. There shouldn't be any relationship with one test case to another. For example, let's say we have test case A and B. So test case B says first you need to execute test case A, and when those data are there, you need to test the test case B. So that is not a valid point. You can't have a relationship between these tests. Tests always should be independent. Why? Let's say test case A failed, and if you reuse those, or if you use those data or something for your test case B, now since it will be tested on invalid data or a failure, test case B also will definitely fail. Okay, to make more sense, let's say using test case A, I will create a user record, and from the test case B, I am updating the record. So while executing the test case A, it failed since I couldn't save. There was error. So now the particular user record was not created in the database in our system. Now test case B will check for the particular user, and the user is not there, so he can't update. Now test case B also failed. And let's say test case C related to delete. Now delete also failed because the particular user was not there. So likewise, there couldn't be any relationship between tests, so we can't reuse anything from the previous test case, the results or anything. Everything need to be independent. So in that case, how to write this properly? So in test case B, if you follow the given when then structure, under given you can write, you need to first create a user. So that is one simple example. However, I just wanted to share this idea of keeping test cases independent. So this need to be applied while you do the automation as well. Not only for the manual executions or manual test case writing. In automation also you need to make sure there is no relationship or there is no dependency between two test cases. Everywhere, all the test cases every time need to be purely independent. So I hope it's clear. Okay, so as I mentioned, we need to make the consistency throughout writing our test cases, and there I mentioned that it's better to use a template. So here I have given some components which are like the most important components for your test case. So next time when you write test case, make sure that you have the following components or the following attributes in your test case. And also, like if you don't have a test case management system at your organization or your workplace, so if you are using some manual documentation like Excel sheet or something, then make sure that you have these attributes as the columns in your Excel sheet. So then it will be easy to maintain the consistency and to also to have the most important the attributes for your test case to make it a proper test case. So as for anything we do to uniquely identify, first we need to have a unique ID. We can call it as the test case ID. The test case ID maybe you can use with some combination of letters and numbers. So maybe the letters you can decide based on your project, or maybe based on the component, something. So it depends on your the project and your organization. For example, let's say your the project is called ABC and the component is XYZ, and then maybe you can write your test case ID as ABC / XYZ / 001 for the test case 1, likewise. So you can use a proper convention to uniquely identify your test cases. Then the most important part is the title or the test name, because the title should be very clear and it should be able to clearly give the idea about the whole test case. So when you just read the title, you should need to understand the high level scenario, what this will check. For example, the login. So in that case, the test title should clearly say about the login, whether it's the success scenario or the failure scenario, the what failure, and then for what user. Likewise, all this information, the proper information need to be there in your title. You need to invest your time on writing a good title for your test case. Because like if you don't have the categorization or while you do the filtering to identify some test cases for your next cycle, so you will not go through all the steps and the actions and the results on your test cases. So you will quickly identify the or select. You should be able to quickly select or filter the test cases. So to add these selected test case to test suite by reading the titles. So you will go to the your suite and then from there you will identify. You will see the title. So from reading the title, you will add those to your next test run. So in that case, the test title should be very clear and it should give the proper idea about what it will verify or what it will test. Then the precondition. So if you can remember the given when then structure, so there under the given we mention about this precondition. So the precondition means anything or how your environment should be or how what test data need to be there for you to start your test case. So anything which need to happen before the actual test execution or the test step execution. To start executing your step 1, you need by that time you need to have these things which is mentioned under the preconditions available. So it could be related to infrastructure, related to environment, or related to test data or anything. You need to put those things under the preconditions. Then the steps or the actual user actions, what you will execute on your system, all the steps. And also maybe you can give the test data as well with the steps. For example, we say login from admin. So there you can give the admin user and the password as well, because next time the same user or a new user or newcomer when execute the test case, otherwise he will need to spend some time again to find the admin credentials. Or by mistakenly, instead of admin credentials, he took some other user credentials, and due to that, the test case failed. Now the failure is related to the test data. So that's it. So if you can give this test data as well in your test case, maybe it will be more helpful for the person who execute the test cases. And then the expected results. So this is the then part in our given when then structure. Given preconditions, when steps and test data, then the expected results. So the given when then structure. And then the test environment. So the test environment might not be useful for all the test cases, but let's take an example like if we are doing a browser compatibility testing. Now test environment is useful. And also some other the operating system compatibility testing likewise, or the device testing. So they are under test environment to specifically specify what is the operating system, what is the browser, what is the device likewise. So cross-browser testing. So for those things, the test environment attribute also important. You specify on Windows operating system, on Google Chrome browser, or on iOS particular version, and the Safari browser on iPhone 14 likewise. So you specify the test environment as well. So those information is also valuable for your test case. Then the status. The status here means like whether this test case is approved or it depends on your organization and your project, your process. What are the available status? Maybe in some organizations, once the test case is written, it will be in draft status. Then some lead or someone will review these things and will approve and move it to the ready state or the correct status. So as the open, so only those things will be able to pick for your test run when you do the executions. The draft one will not be, or the in development ones maybe. So if you are still updating the test case, you can put it in development or draft status. Once it is done and approved, then maybe you can move it to implemented or done status, something like that. So you can decide the available statuses based on the project and the process you follow at your organization. However, it's good to have attribute called the status as well. Then the priority and category, as I mentioned in the best practices, it's always good to have the priority, or it's always good to do the prioritizations and the categorizations. These things will be useful if you want to filter your test cases and execute only a subset of test cases. And also while you write the manual test cases, so maybe you can use the same manual test cases for your automation suite well. And if you have integration between your automation suite versus the test documentation, if you are following a test case management system, so you can do these integrations. For example, like if you use TestRail as your test case management system with Java or any other programming language or framework, you can integrate these two. And next time when you run the automation suite, then it will automatically create a test run in TestRail, and it will add these test cases, and it will update the status, the password status, and those information. So you can have these integrations as well. So in that case, and also when you write test cases, not all the test cases are automatable. So once we start talking about the automation, I will talk about these things. You need to clearly identify like what test cases need to be automated and what need to be kept for manual testing. So in that case, if you mark this automatable and automatable or not, and then also maybe you can add another attribute as automated or not. Likewise, so automatable means you can have boolean true false. Automatable true means it's a candidate for automation. The next attribute automated yes or no, here whether it's already automated or not. So when you need to do the automation, now you can filter from the automatable attribute and get the things which are candidates for the automation. And also then you can filter out ones which are already automated using the automated attribute. So likewise, there can be different attributes. So these are like the main attributes you need to have, and it's not necessary to have all of these things. And also it's not like there are no hard and fast rules saying all this or only these need to be there. You can add other attributes as well based on your need, based on the process you follow, and based on your project and your organization. So this is like some most important attributes which I think. There can be some other attributes as well. So based on your need, you can customize this template. So now, since now you can get the start from here using this template, based on your needs, later with your experience, you can add more attributes or group from here. So I hope it's clear. And even if you don't have these test case management tools in your place, you can either use a Excel sheet too, but I prefer if you can go to one of these test case management tools, because the maintainability is easy. Otherwise, like if there are multiple versions on your document, then multiple versions will have different test cases. It's very hard to maintain. And if you lose that, or if you by mistakenly deleted or something, or it's trash, you will lose your data and everything. But if you have a proper test case management tool, it will give you more other features as well, like the things I mentioned, the integrations with your automation suite. Maybe you can download the results. Likewise, there are different features available in these different test case management tools. If you do a simple Google search, you will see there are hundreds of tools available, and some of these tools are free and some of these tools are licensed, and likewise there are different things. Few most popular ones are like the early days. The Testopia was one of most popular things because it was free. And there is another tool called the Kiwi test case management system. It's having both free version and the license version. And nowadays most popular one is like the TestRail, but it's a licensed product. You need to have the license. Other than that, there are some other tools as well. And again, I'm mentioning I'm not promoting any of these tools. You can select any of these tools available based on your need, and also you need to think about the free and the license, those factors as well, and also about the features available. So using the testrail.com URL, you can visit their website, and here you can get the information about the documentation and everything about the TestRail. So if you want to give a try with TestRail, there is a 14-day free trial. So from here you can go and try out it for a 14-day free period. After that, you can decide whether you need to move forward with TestRail or not. Also, as I mentioned, the Testopia is there. It's a free one. And the next one, which I will talk today, Kiwi test case management system. This is also both options are available, the free one and the license one. And here fortunately the free trial is not only for a limited period, you can use it. So here fortunately the free trial is not only for a limited period, you can use it, but the problem is you will not receive any support or not the latest versions, I think. So for if you need Kiwi support and their hosting and those things, then you need to buy a subscription. Otherwise, you can either use the Docker image, or else you can go to GitHub and then you can download it and then you can host it locally at your organization, and you can use the Kiwi test case management system. And also, if you want to just give a try on Kiwi test case management system, they have a demo hosted version. So before downloading or before using the Docker image, you can first maybe give a try on their hosted demo, and then you can decide whether you will proceed with Kiwi or not. Okay, so this is the Kiwi demo site using this public.tenant.kiwitcms.org URL. You can visit the site, the demo site. I will share all these links in the description section down. And also one thing to remember, you can't use this demo site for your actual project requirements, because they will flush their databases in like every 2 or 3 months, I think. So you will lose your data. You can't use this for actual your projects, only for demo purposes and for a trial period to try out the tool. You can use this one. Then you can use the Docker image, or as I showed, or you can download the code from the GitHub, and then you can post it locally, and then you can use it for free. Here you can go to register account if you don't have account, or you can continue with GitHub as well. Last time when I checked, this GitHub integration or the continue login with GitHub was not working, so I had to go and register account here. Then let's see what's inside. Okay, so since there are no information here, because I don't have any test plans or anything created from this account, so you need to first identify like these different terms here use, because like on most of these different test case management systems, they will follow different terms and different components. Like first, you will most of the test case management systems, you will see it will be either test suite or test plan or something. It is like for your project, maybe you can create a test plan or a test suite under your project. Or now since okay, it's let's say our project is ABC, a banking system, so I will come here and create a test plan, or in TestRail it's called a test suite. Maybe you can create like that. Then inside, so it's like the whole package, the test plan here. So you can create the test plan. Inside the test plan, then you can have multiple other things. So here from testing, you can create a test plan. Then for test plan, you can add the test cases. So all the test cases will be inside a test plan. So in TestRail, all your test cases will be in your test suite likewise. Once you create the test cases, let's say for my project ABC test plan, inside that I have 20 test cases. And next, when I want to manually execute these test cases, I need to create a test run and add these test cases to the test run. Then I can execute those test cases and mark the pass-fail status in the test run. At the end, I can see the status or the stats related to how many percentage passed, failed, those things I can see from the test run. So test run is for one manual execution cycle. So if you can remember the template we discussed, there we didn't have the status, the pass-fail, because the test case once writing the test case, we don't mark it to pass or fail. Where we will mark it is inside the test run when we do the actual execution. So we select the test cases. That's why I mentioned the prioritization and categorization important. When we add test cases, test run, if we don't want to add everything and if we want to filter, now if you have that prioritization and categorization attributes, now you can filter from those things and add the selected test cases to your test run. So in my example, I had 20 test cases. I want to add only 10 test cases to the test run. Now I will filter and add it to the test run. And then I will start manual testing and follow the test cases and mark the pass-fail status based on the results. And then if you have bugs in the Kiwi test case management system, you can report the bugs as well. And also this has some other additional features as well, like the user management. Using here the admin section, you can create new users, new user groups, and you can assign users to the groups. And also under the plugins, you can see the GitHub integrations is also there. So you can use this with your automation suite as well. And also your subscription tenant, those information also you can see. And the tokens, this token will be needed once you need to do the GitHub integration. So through the code, if you need to update the status of your test run and everything, you need to use these personal API tokens. And yeah, and also some user related information like the user data, test run, test plans, and password change, and all those information will be under here. Okay, now let's give a try to create some test plan and some sample test cases and how to add those to test run. Let's see how we can do those things. So you can go to testing, and from here you can create a new test plan. Okay, so this is the form you need to fill in order to create a new test plan. So here you can see like there are different attributes available. So since this is the public hosted demo, you can't customize or configure these available attributes. So if you have hosted this on your local environment, then you can customize these available attributes and the other customizable options. Maybe you can drop some unused or unwanted attributes and use only the needed ones, and the theme and everything. You can do the customizations. And all those things and the customizations, the properties, all those things are available in the documentation. So you can easily get an idea about all the available options. So now let's create a sample test plan. So I will put test plan name as ABC. I just wanted to show some sample data. Here under product, it will load some already available products, as I mentioned, since this is the demo. So I will just use some available product available here, maybe 1, 2, 3. The version I will put as unspecified. Then the type, whether it is functional, whether it is acceptance testing, whether it is integration testing, the performance testing, regression testing, likewise. So what is this? What test cases are these? So if you are planning to have, so then in that case you can have multiple test plans for functional testing, one for the automation, one for the acceptance testing, one for the performance testing. So all performance test cases will be in the performance test plan likewise. So it depends. So since this is the demo, these are the options available. So it depends. You can plan in your local setup how you need to have these things. Or else you can have all these things within one test plan. So as I mentioned, you can create the test plan for your project, and you can have an attribute for the categorization. So the categorization you can do as automation or the performance, acceptance, likewise. So it depends. You can decide what you need. So I will put function here. And then if you have any parent IDs, or if you need to link it, you can link here. And if you have any reference links, maybe like the URL or some documentation, you can link. And if you need to give more information here for the test plan, so you can link those things here. We have a rich text area. And then if you need to notify authors. So if you have added any, so if you do any changes, so it will send email to the author, and then the test case authors, the default testers, those things you can assign and send notification to those people. And also you can decide when these notifications need to be sent, when test plan is updated, when it is active, and when test cases are updated. Likewise, you can decide those things. Okay, so once you create the test plan, it will redirect you to here inside the test plan. Now you can see it assigned a unique ID, and you can see the test plan title and the other information like the author, created date, the assigned product, then the versions, those things, the type. Then at the bottom you can see if you create test cases, it will be listed here, and then any active test runs which are linked to the test plan. And if you want to tag these test cases or test runs, so you can create these tags here. And if any attachments, you can add those attachments to your test plan as well. So you can decide these things based on your project. So then, since now we have a test plan created, now let's see how we can create a simple test case. So you can go to again testing, and then here under new test case, from here you can create a new test case. So again, starting with the title, it will automatically assign the ID. a unique ID will be created. So the title, I mentioned the title need to be very clear. It should have the high level idea about the test case. I will just add some data here to create a test case, and you can assign the default tester here. So if you have multiple users, so you can decide who is the default tester, and again you can decide the product, and then the category you can decide, and again you can customize or drop or add these attributes or change these attributes and the values in your local installation. Then the category here, we don't have much information. Then the status here, which I mentioned, so you can mark it as draft while you create or in development. This status and the status values in these drop downs are also customizable in your local installation. So here currently what we have is like confirm, fail, blocked, ready for testing, in progress, pass, likewise. So I will put as confirm, and then like the priority. So here the critical I will put. So whether it is automated or not currently, I will say it is not automated yet. And then we can select a template as well. There are some already created templates. This one. So based on the template, it will add the information here. And if you need some setup duration information, if you don't need these things, you can drop these things in your local installation. And in this rich text area, now you can create the steps and the expected result. Those information you can specify here. Then if you have any scripts, you can attach any arguments for the script, those things, any requirements, the reference links again, and if any notes, and again the notifications you can control here. And if you want to CC someone, you can add these email addresses here. So then once you created or edit this one, it will send the email to the CC person. Now let's save this one, but again don't write your test cases like this. I just wanted to create a sample to show you, just that's why. Otherwise when you write test cases, follow the best practices which we discussed and follow the template which we discussed, the given indent structure as well. So keep in mind those information. So I will just proceed here to save some time. Okay, so once you click the save button, it will, once saving, redirect to the created test case. Here also you can see now it assigned a unique ID for the test case, and you have the title and the other information like the author, the default assigned tester, product, the priority, status, all those information will be here. And at the bottom you can see all the other information like the test plans, the tags, components, those things you can create, and you can assign those information to your test as well. Next, now let's see, now inside our test plan, now we have our test cases. Now let's go to the test plan and see whether we can view our test case. Okay, now if you come to the home page, now you can see under your test plans, now the previously created test plan is now assigned, and it will show how many executions or how many test runs. Since I didn't do anything, now it's 0. And from here also you can go to your test plan, or else you can go to the search, and from here you can search your test plans, test cases, all those information. Now let's go inside our test plan. Okay, when you come inside your test plan, now you can assign your created test cases to the test plan. By default it's now not assigned because I created it through the new test case. There I didn't select the test plan. So either you can add it from here directly, or if you add from there, you come back here and you need to add the test cases manually to your test. Okay, so once you click on the magnify icon, it will open this new window, and here you can filter all the available test cases. Currently there are a lot of test cases which are created by some other users as well. I will select few of those things and I will add this to our test plan. So I selected those things, and at the bottom I have the select option. Okay, so now you can see the test cases were added here, and it shows some information based on the added values. And then here you can see inside your test plan, now you can see the added test cases. Next, let's see how you can create a test run. Okay, so from testing, again new test run, you can create a test run. Here also you need to give a summary. I will give something, a manager email, a default tester, a product, test plan. You can select the test plan, so then test run will automatically be link to your test plan. Currently, unfortunately, it is not loading here. So the plan is start date, stop date, those information you can add, the build information. Okay, unfortunately we can't create the test plan since we don't have the test plan and the build, and it's not loading anything here. Maybe a bug on their side, on their demo site, or else there could be no data. However, so you can simply create a test run like this, and then you can go to your test plan and assign your test run to the test plan simply as, or else if you create add the test plan here, it will automatically link. Then simply you can go to test plan and you can view your test runs there, and also you can go inside the test run. So once you create this will redirect to your created test run, and then you can add the test cases to your test run. So if you can remember, we add 4 test cases to our test plan, and then we add the test run also to the test plan. Now for the test run, you need to select the test cases from the test plan itself. So from that 4 test cases, maybe let's say I added 2 test cases to the test run, and then I can start the test run and then mark the pass fail status for the test cases, and at the end, once all the test cases are executed, you can close the test run. Then you can see those reports as well. So unfortunately, I can't show those things here today due to this issue on the Kiwi demo site. However, so I hope you got some information related to test case management tools as well. So today I hope we can end our video from here. Please go through all the stuff we discussed today, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. You can contact me through the comment section, or else you can drop me an email to kiwibro.pro@gmail.com, and I'm really happy to help you with all your queries. So now we put another step in our journey. So now you know how to create a test case and how to start your manual testing. So next, once you have the test run and everything in place, you can start executions. And while do the executions, you will find bugs. The next step is to report these bugs. So our next video is about bugs. So I will do a similar video like this where we can discuss about the purpose and maybe the importance, and also the best practices, and also a template for reporting bugs. And also I can show a tool on how to use for the bug management. So those things we will see in our next video. So keep in touch and stay tuned till next week. So next Friday also I will come with another video. As I mentioned, next one is about bugs. So see you till then. Happy testing.